For this training interaction, we're going to go over how to properly interact and interface with the MoveItPro app as a mover, how to prepare for a move using the app and the details that are inside of it, how to message a client to let them know that we are en route and how soon we should be arriving, as well as how to receive and gather the associated times, signatures, and finally the payment, and hopefully a tip and a high review on the end of the movers. So I'm going to go into my MoveItPro app. I have it down here on the bottom. I click it, and you'll notice I have been set for a move number 1459, moving myself, Star Movers. I'm the client. The time is set for today at 9, arrival between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. on August 6th. It's a 2-bedroom move. You'll notice it's approximately 534 cubic feet and an estimated 3,650 pounds. Address that we start at is provided as well. If I click right next to moving, or anywhere on that top banner where it says 1459 moving Star Movers, if I click in that area, it'll pull me up into that specific client. On the left side, you'll start off with invoice number 1459. It starts off in the summary on the left. You'll notice the summary provides my email address, my phone number. The rate on the estimate was $2.19 per hour with 3 movers and 1 truck, estimated for 5 hours and 15 minutes, and the crew was set for Kasim, Marshall, and myself. I set it for the Enterprise 26-footer, so we have 1 truck, and materials associated was at least 1 TV box. Now there are going to be more materials we're going to look at, but we know that the client is requesting and paying for a TV box. If you click estimate, you'll also see what the inventory says. So the inventory is listed on the left and the pricing associated on the right. So we know that there's 1 40 to 50 inch TV. That accounts for the TV box. There's a king bed, a queen bed, and a twin bed. So 3 beds. That'll tell us immediately that we know we need the 3 associated sized mattress covers, mattress bags. So we'll make sure that while we're packing up everything that we get those bags for them. There'll be 2 for the king bed, 2 for the queen bed, and 2 for the twin bed. We're assuming then always it is a mattress and a box spring, and we protect both. Of note, a king bed is often 2 twin size box springs, so make sure you adjust accordingly. I noticed that there's a fridge freezer, so I'm going to remind the crew to grab the appliance dolly. I'm scrolling on down. Hey, there's a piano, so let's grab the hydraulic lift dolly. And I see safe, 1 each for each 100 pounds, and it says 4. So that means not that there are 4 100-pound safes, but there is a 400-pound, likely a gun safe that we're needing to get. The appliance dolly should be fine, as well as the piano dolly, the hydraulic 4-wheel. We'll gather those. Looking at the rest of the stuff, so first off, I'm checking the inventory to make sure that I'm gathering the necessary materials that I need. Okay, so I'm in here. If I click BOL, it'll tell me you can't. You got to click en route and arrive to the client first. So I'm going to go back to summary. All right, I see the estimate notes. These were more for the client. All estimates are primarily set as a fixed rate or an hourly rate. If your estimate is a fixed rate, your final pay. This is just telling the client, if you scroll down to the bottom, if we show up with 2 movers or 4 movers, the rate gets adjusted based on the number of movers that they're associated. They were set for a 3-mover estimate, $2.19 per hour. But if we showed up with 4 guys and it was done faster, then the rate would be adjusted to 4 movers at $2.79 per hour. We'll do that later on. We'll assume that a 4th man showed up. Besides the estimate notes, click job notes. And you'll notice a few other notes in here, what's happening. So long as the call center is putting these notes in, we'll know more about the move. It says move select items into a 10 by 20 storage unit. Okay, so we're going into a storage unit. Looks like Ironbound mini storage. Okay, so we're going from a house to storage. Many of the items are antique. Provide extra care. Okay, so the client's going to be concerned, that the items are heirloom or that they're antique. So we need to make sure that we're padding them properly. We need to carry the boxes to wrap around things if necessary to protect any glass if that comes up and is needed. And this says the blanket estimate is 50 blankets. I did the estimate by memory. I came up with 34 roughly based on what I consider worst case scenario. And then I multiply that by 25% overage, which brought me to 42. And since they're in stacks of 10, the 42 becomes 50. You need to bring more blankets than necessary. Not good to not have enough blankets. It is okay to have too many blankets. The problem would be if you don't bring enough. So the estimate on here, if it's being calculated for you, you can see that it's 50. If not, you can go into estimate, and I would do king bed has an associated number, 3 for the headboard, 3 for the footboard, and 1 for each side bed. Same for the queen bed and the twin bed. A dresser would have 2, a fridge would have 2, chairs would have at least 1 each, a piano would have 3 at least, a gun safe would have probably 2 to 3, and a sofa would have probably 3 to 5. Most damages that we incur come from sofas, so more protection on a sofa is necessary. Back, side, front, all around, more blankets needed on a sofa. But I did that math, it came out to about 34, 35, rounded up, came out to 42, and that's how I came up with the 50x that I put the job note in. Once we've gone through it and we've determined everything that we have, I've got Kasim and Marshall. We're in the storage unit. We are all loaded up. We got the appliance dolly, the 4-wheel hydraulic dolly, the blankets, a couple of boxes to make sure if we have anything that needs to be protected that's glass front. We are all ready to go. We need to let the client know that we are en route. So I'm going to click the button in the middle on the right side that says en route. This will give a message to the client. Now, I'm going to close this first and do one more thing that we can look at. Let's look at the address, 179 or 178 Wellington Circle. If I click that, it's going to ask you to pull up the maps. If you have maps in there, it'll give you an idea of what that looks like as well as where it's going. So you can click in there to get a better determination of the job itself. All right, so clicking en route. All right, so storage unit, we're coming from Ironbound Mini Storage itself. That's 10 minutes down the road. I'm just going to knock it down to 20 minutes, and I'm going to send notification. That'll send a note directly to the client. They're going to get an email and a text that says, hey, your crew is en route. See you shortly. It says something different than that, but essentially that's the message that they get. Now you can interact with the BOL. The BOL is the legal contract for the move, saying the items that you are picking up, and then the items that are being moved, and then the agreement that you are going to carry a person's items and deliver them to a new location. By law, this has to be signed and kept. All right, and this is the interaction of it. We're going to scroll down to the top, scroll a little bit further down. One of the first things you can do, we've arrived at the client's house. We have showed up, parked, we've gotten out, we have introduced ourselves, we are not smoking, we look presentable, and we want to make sure that the client is comfortable and knows everyone there. So I'm introducing myself, I'm introducing Marshall, and I'm introducing Kasim, and I'm going to start by getting the start time for the client. I say, Mr. Corbett, I'm glad that we are here. It is 8:58. We're 2 minutes early. We're going to confirm that time. Once that's in the system, I'm going to hit sign, and I'm going to ask the client, please sign that the start time is correct. So I'm going to clear this. This is the client's signature. Boom, input signature. And done. At this point, we're going to do the associated actions that we would do: preparing for the move, setting up the flooring, the door protection, bringing in pads as necessary. We're going to do all the actions associated with the move. All right, that's going to start happening then. At the same time, though, the lead mover is going to get the loss and damage protection valuation from the client. Two options here: minimal liability option on the left, number 1, or full replacement value on number 2. Full replacement value has an additional cost associated. Most clients do not select this. It is based on the weight and what they are estimating that their property is going to be worth. But most clients, as I said, kick the carrier liability required by law, minimum liability. You're going to click that. You're going to go over that with them. Essentially, that's 60 cents per pound per item. So if they have an incredibly heavy or incredibly expensive television that gets broken, we're not legally liable to pay for a full replacement of a $2,000 television. All right, that's not something we're held at. That would be 60 cents per pound. The client might want to know that ahead of time. 60 cents per pound per item is the minimum required. We try to do better than that for our clients. Hold on, this is my signature. This client is signing with just an X. Boom, they've agreed to it. They understand it. Yeah, 66 per pound. Now, you should have the door protection being laid out, the blankets being brought in, have all of those actions going on when you're having this conversation. And you're letting the client know that we're going to take every action to prevent any damages to their property, either their house or the items that we are moving. But sometimes it's unavoidable, and that's where the loss and damage protection valuation comes in. All right, good. So we have got our start time captured and a signature from the client signifying that the start time is correct. We got a signature from the loss and damage protection. Boom, we have started the move. We do the full actions of the move, and we are completed. All right. It took us approximately 5 hours, or we'll say it took us 6 hours, a little longer. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 1500. So 3 p.m. And it was a little less. It was 2:45, 2:46. Boom, recorded time. I get the end time, and that says AM. I need to watch that and make sure it is PM. Confirm. All right. So the move went from 8:58 a.m. to 2:46 p.m. We'll scroll down and see that that took us 5 hours and 48 minutes. The system is smart. It'll auto-calculate the time for you. Now that that is captured, I need to get the client's confirmation that, yes, we in fact ended at 2:46. Client will sign and say, yep, you guys did an amazing job. I know it took a little longer than anticipated, but there was a lot more stuff that you needed to do. And I appreciate you taking care of all of my items and not damaging it. Boom. So that brings us to the final total. You'll scroll up and you'll see 3 movers, 1 truck, the rate, the time associated, all the charges. Now this client says, hey, since it was a piano move, it had an added $150 for the piano. But let's say that they mentioned, hey, I'm a military veteran. I heard you guys do a discount for that. You say, of course we do. The plus, circled plus next to subtotal, if you click that, that'll allow you to add additional charges to make the bill larger, or you can add additional discounts to bring the bill lower. For this one, there's several preset charges, bulk haul off, if they want to tip with a check, they want to give a general discount. We didn't include the gun safe as an added charge on this one because we charged for the piano, just as an example. But this client said that they're a military service discount. Well, we're going to click that. That applies an automatic 5% discount on there. Now, this can be interacted with, and you can change that. If you felt the need to make it something different, you can say minus 10%. Boom. Now it's applying a 10% discount. But you click it, get rid of it, bring it back up, scroll to military service discount, boom, 5% discount automatically applied to the total. So with the discount, $16.16. Without the discount, my data's acting funny. So without the discount, $16.88. So we're going to leave that on there. And give them a discount. You'll notice the difference in it. We're going to give that military service discount. But the client is also saying, hey, there was only 2 movers. Well, you can make that adjustment here. The rate could go from 3 movers to 2 movers. Now let's see the original final here with 3 movers is $16.16. Okay, well, let's come up to here. I'll click in by movers at the number, delete it, and put the appropriate number, 2 movers. Okay, and the rate would need to be adjusted too. Remember, the rate for 2 movers was $1.59 per hour. $1.59, and that immediately adjusts the rate down. Oh, their bill has now been brought down to $12.57. The client will go, oh, thank you very much. I understand now. That makes a whole lot more sense. Let's assume also that we brought in 4 movers, and we did it an hour faster. So it only took us 4 hours and 48 minutes, but we had 4 movers, okay? And that rate was $2.79. Down, okay. Well, the rate now is $17.10. And with 4 movers, it probably would have been more like $14.15. Would have been a little bit less. Again, you would capture the appropriate time, but with more movers, we would have got done faster, and the rate usually is about the same. Now again, I've got AM to AM. That's the problem here. We're going to change it back to PM. make sure that that makes sense. 8:58 a.m. to 1:15 p.m. 4 movers, $2.79 an hour, 4 hours 47 minutes. Grand total 1573. Boom. All good. You don't need to set all of this in front of the client. You need to do this stuff ahead of time. All right. And the only thing that gets tricky is if you had 4 movers for 2 hours and two movers for the last 2 hours. That requires a little bit more of a manual calculation. You would leave that on as the, let's say it took longer. They get finished this long, confirm. All right. So the client sees the big bill of $1,570, $2,100. Well, that's well more than my estimate. And I didn't have 4 movers the whole time. So I'm very upset about this situation. Well, the easiest way to manage this is you set it for the 4 hours. Each mover is $60 per mover per hour. That's the sliding scale on how it's adjusted. So if we had 2 less movers for 2 hours, that would be two movers times 60 is $120. At 2 hours is $240. I would add the additional subtotal, and I would do a general discount, and I would change the rate down from $50 general discount to minus $240. Okay, well that brings the rate down to $1,864. That general discount is accounting for the movers that were only there for 2 hours. So what I'm giving the example is for maybe 4 of the hours we had 4 movers, as indicated here, was 6 hours 15 minutes, setting the entire rate at 4 movers, but we only had 2 movers for the last 2 hours. So for the last 2 hours of it, I discounted from the 4-hour rate down to $120 less, down to the lower rate for 2 movers only. All right, at this point, you need to make sure that you've gathered signatures. When you have the rate complete, all right, you're going to look at it, and on the left side, on the very bottom, you'll notice signature. All right, we're gonna get the client's signature on the left. The left side is for the shipper. All right, you're going to click that, and the client will sign and say, "I am okay with this. I understand. I need to be charged for the amazing service that was provided." Okay, and the lead mover, who is the carrier, will sign on the right side. All right, that's me. I slap my signature on there, input. All right, so it's not the client signature 2 times. The left side is the client, as in the shipper, and the right side is the lead mover or the carrier. Shipper, carrier, shipper, carrier, shipper left, carrier on the right. Okay, do not hit submit at this point. You have not been paid, nor have you been given the opportunity to receive a tip. If the client does not have any cash on hand, do not hit submit. Hit payment. All right, that's going to populate this quick. Hey, would you like to leave a tip for your crew? Maybe they would. I could say, yes, please. Let's do $150, $50 each. It's about the going rate for most people's tips for a large move. All right, so that will give my total up to $2,013. Okay, I have a MasterCard on file. I'm not going to pay for this right now, but if that was the case, you would just click that. All right, that should process the payment. In this situation, it closed out the app, so that's new to me, and I didn't want the payment to process through. So I need to make sure that I'm not charging my own credit card $2,100. All right, so I'm going to go back into it. So something happened interfacing with the move or with the payment. That would be how you would interact with that. I'm going to go back into the move, back into the BOL, back into payment. All right, so I'm not going to pay that, but you would interact with clicking the card on file and clicking pay. If they do not want to use that card, you can click new card, and they can add that. You could add the details, or you can hand it to the client to add the details for that specific payment. If they've done a deposit, it'll be a saved card. If they want a new card, they have that option. If they're paying in check, you would click check and add the check number here. And in the unlikely event that they're paying in cash, you would click cash and receive payment that way. Most clients are paying a credit card. That is the most convenient. Once you've collected payment, you go back in invoice, scroll to the bottom, and you'll hit submit. All right. So in this one, I still say balance due. Before you hit submit, you should see the balance due should say 0 because the payment should be processed through. That is what you were looking at and making sure is done. Right now, balance is still due. At that point, I'm going to hit submit on this one. But again, you would collect payment before closing that out. All right. I'm just not charging myself $2,100 as a training aspect. All right. Assuming that I've collected payment, click submit on the bottom. All right, this comes up to the review status. You can let the client know this doesn't post a review on Google or anything. This just gives management a quick update on how the move went. Give them the opportunity to rate your move. Pass the card or pass the iPad over to the client. Tell them that you would like to get a rating on how well they went. 1 star, 4 star. All right. The reason this is important is it lets management know how the crew did, and it also lets us know if we should be requesting a review from this client. I don't want to request a review if they did a 1 star or even a 4 star more than likely. We request reviews on our 5-star clients. Boom. Oh, they might type something in here. Great team. Loved them. Or great team, best ever. Best ever, exclamation mark. Submit. All right, it is thinking and it is complete. Boom. I have now interacted with that specific move using the MoveItPro app. Rehashing. Before the move even started, I went through the inventory to make sure that I had the associated supplies necessary for the move. So I planned the move out before even leaving the warehouse. I messaged the client to let them know that we were en route. They received an automated message indicating as such. When we arrived, we got the start time signature recorded right away. That way we're not losing any time that we should be getting paid for while we're there. We started the crew setting up all the protection around the house and on the property while we explained the protection, the minimum protection or the full replacement value, and received the client's signature for that. We completed the move, made sure that any associated discounts were added or any additional charges were added on as well. If they wanted us to haul something off to the dump, just get rid of it. Well, that's going to cost us more because we got to store it. We got the added work for it. So that might have an added charge. We added all those. We adjusted the rate as necessary, when necessary, if there was more or less movers on the actual move. And that is included on each client's estimate. So they are all aware of that potentiality to make sure that that's happening. And we demonstrated how you could do that if there was a portion of movers for one portion of the time and another portion of the time there were less. So in this example, there were 4 movers for about 4 hours and there were 2 movers for about the last 2 hours. So we gave the associated discount for the 2 hours, which was $60 per mover per hour. That came out to a $240 discount. We applied that to make sure that we are being properly and adequately paid and compensated. This closes the training package for this interaction. Every mover will have an associated training move that they are scheduled for, and they will personally interact with it, and they will be on the receiving end of what the client is seeing as far as a text message and an email indicating what everything looks like on their end.